pursued the Green New Scam,
Guys,
perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place.
I'm just listening to the speech of Donald Trump at Davos at the World Economic Forum. And on the outset, it seems like very ordinary stuff that Trump talks about. He doesn't talk about very lavish and very great things. And for some people that just listen on the outset, thinks that he's just bragging about himself. But in reality, he's actually talking about the things that affect people directly and the things that are really practical to do and things that world leaders are supposed to do and haven't done for how many years. Things that globalists love to brag and talk about. All these pie-in-the-sky concepts about green energy and stuff that never really end up materializing and actually make our lives worse because they end up producing less, they end up doing less, and there's no real bright future in the end for the people of this world because their whole goal and their whole worldview is opposite of what we should be going. They want us to make less children. They want us to move around less. They want to cram us into this little 15-minute cities, and we won't be able to drive anywhere. We're going to ride our bicycles. We're going to ride our electric cars. We end up polluting the environment anyway because it costs so much to the environment to actually produce the batteries that move these cars. Trump was calling the Green New Deal a scam, and he was saying all the typical things that he was talking about in probably most of his rallies as well. And it is a lot of talking points on stuff that he's just repeated over and over again. But it's stuff that it really matters. Stuff like nuclear energy, which is clean, which is effective. But globalists don't like the idea because, again, it goes against their worldview. It's not dangerous. If produced safely, it is effective. He's talking about the growing economy. He's talking about people's pensions. He's talking about stuff that really affect people's everyday lives. And on the outset, it really sounds boring to listen to, but he talks about stuff that world leaders should be caring about. He's talking about stuff that affects the everyday person. And if you are a real true leader, you should be caring about those stuff. And that is the stuff that shows that you really care about people. Let me just keep on listening.
That's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They are shocked that it continues to go. They were very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They kill the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think
he's talking about the windmills. How pollutants
of such destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe, Scotland and Germany. 100% Scotland. 100%.
What can I say more?
And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong
economic growth should be a concern to anybody in the West. Economic growth. It should be a concern for every world leader. And that is what I keep on hearing Trump repeat over and over again. These are the things that matter to people. And you look at South Africa, for example, they are producing less and less energy, and the media tries to paint it on purpose that it is because of incompetence. What you guys don't realize is that the ANC government signed contracts with the EU and the UN to on purpose meet the standards of globalization, which is to produce a less carbon footprint, which means they're not allowed to actually build more carbon coal plants. And the problem is when the countries produce less electricity, those countries go backward and they automatically become third world countries, which end up becoming a polluting country. They throw their stuff in the rivers, they start polluting, people just throw their trash everywhere. And the ideal is that we essentially want this country to go forward, produce more electricity, whether it is by coal-fired plants. And the fact is, coal plants isn't really polluting in the modern era because there's a clean way of producing coal, which Trump has reiterated as well a few times already. Coal isn't such a bad thing, but globalists paint it as this demonic thing, which really is because of their agenda to reduce the population, to shrink economies, to destroy the very things that Trump is trying to build and Trump is trying to talk about. He's taking it to the heart of the beast, my friends, and he's talking about the things that they are secretly sensitive about, and they are cringing on the inside. They're probably trying to be very polite to him in being friendly to President Trump, because you can't afford not to be friends with him at this point in time. If you don't want to work with Trump, you're going to get run over, to be honest.
Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about.
That's what Greenland is all about.
Years ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we got him in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. Yeah. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on?
I'm not going to say too much more.
Made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory.
Yep.
Sitting undefended in a key strategic location between...
Greenland is sitting in a vast, uninhabited location, undeveloped, unprotected, really. How many soldiers do they have there? There's almost nothing. If Russia wanted to take over Greenland, they could do so just like that. It's all about the security of the Western world. It could be a launching base primarily for America and for any Western country on the face of the earth, especially Europe. So people want to go on about how Denmark and Greenland is a sovereign country, but they want to talk about sovereignty. They don't talk about sovereignty when it comes to unsecure borders and overthrowing countries' population with illegal immigrants. Now again, Trump isn't against foreigners. He's against illegal immigration. That's the whole problem that was there. And globalists want to try to implode countries both from the inside through illegal immigration and from the outside through foreign adversaries, and using countries like Venezuela and possibly Greenland for an invasion. I'm not going to say too much more about this, but I want to tell you, you got to pray for President Trump, man. I bleed the blood of Jesus over that man.
1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land.
Guys, I'm just going to continue listening. I'll chat to you again soon, and God bless.